Hi guys, Samantha from Jessima Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you a fun tutorial using some Acorn cutters of mine, as you can see here, and a few different techniques. So, if you had a look at the supplies list, you'll know exactly what type of clay I'm going to be using. We're going to be starting out with these four, and these ones are the bronze, antique bronze, gold and rust. Cernit clay, and they're all metallic, and this is what we're going to be using for the base of our acorn, because if you have a look at acorns, they have a really nice rich kind of woody look to them. So what I'll do is I'll just take a piece of each, and you really do not need a lot of clay for this, so don't go overboard, and just roll out a bunch of little snakes. And that one split, it wasn't really supposed to, but that's fine, it's not a huge issue. Put those to the side and repeat with the other ones. Okay, so here we are. I've got each of them lined out. So what I want to do is I'm just going to have 4 of each. And then I'm just going to pop them next to each other, like so. And you pop them into a random order. It doesn't have to be specific how you do it. And you can have more than 4 each, obviously. And just continue building it. You can even overlap them a little bit like so. The lines don't all have to be equal. Just put them together like so. Okay, and there we go. So then just pick that up. And then I'm just going to gently, well not really gently, I'm just going to press down on it, just to kind of get them all melded together a bit. Okay, and I'm going to fold that in half, and that will break it. Split, and then pop that down like so, and now I've got more lines to work with, which is great. And I'll pick that up and I'll fold it again. This time I'm not going to break it. Now you just want to press on that so that you form kind of a plug with it. Now these lines are all going to get distorted. That is exactly what you want. So there we go, we've kind of formed a plug, like so. Okay. And I'm just going to roll that, like so. And now you might need to do that a bit, just to get it roll out smoothly. And then I want you to twist. And now it's not going to look great in the beginning, it's fine. Just continue twisting. And then I'll just go up the length so that I can get some effective twists. And this is going to give us a organic effect. It's not going to give us a perfect twisted effect, which is what you want. You want it to look interesting. Okay. And then if it breaks apart like this, I mean the Cernit has a little bit of a different texture to other clays, so sometimes it does that. And I'll just press that back down, and it's basically you're creating a slightly controlled marble effect. That's essentially all you're doing. So I'm happy with the amount of twist there. So now I'm going to just press that back down. So you don't want to over twist it, because you are going to be pressing it down into probably about a 2 centimeter wide, 2 centimeter long plug. And then you're going to be squishing it back down again, like so. And you're going to be running that through the pasta machine, lengthening the lines on your thickest set, which is about 2 millimeters thick for me. Then I'm going to go down to my number 3 setting, which is about 1 millimeter thick, And there you can see how that looks. Now you can leave it like that, but I find that they're a little strong. That way I want the lines to kind of blend together. So I'm just going to choose which side I like the best. And I like this side the best. So I'm going to fold. And roll through again. Okay, again, choose which side's your favourite. And generally I'll just do 2 rolls, so this will be the final one. And there we go, we'll get some slight blending on that. Okay. Then I want you to take either a piercing tool, or you can use this nice scratching tool which has multiple points to it. And I want you to just scratch over the surface. Like so. And because it's a metallic clay, it will take that on. Just brush off that excess. Grab a piece of paper and burnish perpendicular to the lines that you created. You don't want to be burnishing parallel, you want to be burnishing perpendicular. It just seems to work better that way. Okay, and we'll get kind of this grainy woody effect. So you could do the scratches as many times as you want. I generally will do about twice to create a nice effect. Okay, brush off that excess. You're not going to get off all of it, but you want to get off most of it. And then we'll burnish one more time. And now we will sand this a little bit later on. And then we're going to put resin on it, which is going to really create a beautiful effect. So just burnish this thoroughly, because you don't want any remaining texture. You want it to be completely flat. And that has a really nice woody effect to it. So you can see what the lines look like back here versus what they look like now. It gives a really interesting effect, which is exactly what I want. Okay, so now I'm just going to run that down one setting down from the number 3 setting, just so that I flatten it out so it's all nice and even. Now put that to the side. We will work with that a little later on after we've created the top of the piece. Okay, and so I'm going to be using some antique bronze and green cernic clay. And so these, I want to just take them and chop them up together essentially. Just don't forget to mix them up together. And I might actually want a little bit more green in there. And yes, I know the top part of an acorn technically isn't green, but we're kind of stylising it a bit. It's very similar to the colour of the bottom. Okay, and so I just want you to chop that up into many small pieces, like so. And I'm almost done. There we are. So make sure to mix that together. I've got one little piece there that's a little bit off. Now because it's metallic clay, it's going to have an extra enhanced effect. Even if the same colour lays down on itself, you're still going to be able to see that effect. And so just pop all those pieces together. Make sure they're all stuck down. Give that a roll. Okay, and there we go. That's probably how thick I am going to make it. Then I'm going to fold it on top of itself once. Press that back into a somewhat square-ish shape. And then just roll again. Now I'm not using the passing machine because I want it slightly thicker than 2mm. Because we're going to be doing a mukumega on it. So I've just stacked it twice, and now I've got a piece of, a polymer clay stamp here, which is my snakeskin stamp. And I'm just going to bring over my water sprayer, and it's already got some water in it, but I just want to refresh that. Take that, press that on top, and I'm just going to use a piece of paper to burnish that in so that my fingers don't stick to the clay and lift it up out of the stamp. Just burnish that in. Okay. And lift it out. Okay. And if it doesn't stick to the paper, you can easily just lift it out by hand. But that time it did stick to the paper, which is fine. I just want to lift that off, and I'm just going to use my blade to help me with that. And you can actually use this piece of paper to just quickly dry up, because you need your clay and work area to be completely dry. So wait for that to dry. Okay, and that should do. Now I'm just going to take and then you want to just press that down onto the surface, obviously, and then take a blade and just shave. And it's not going to give us a perfect mukumegane sort of effect, it's just going to give kind of an illusion of this one pattern, but I don't want it to be a very, very obvious pattern. And because it is metallic, it will pick up on that pattern better than if you were using opaque with this technique. So definitely use metallics in this tutorial, it's quite important. Certain metallics are my favourite for sure, but you could use any other brand's metallics. Just bear in mind that the Cernit comes with these colours. These are colours that come in the Cernit metallic line, whereas with other brands you're going to have to mix them up. Just busy shaving off the last little bits. Okay. Then just quickly clean off your blade. Get rid of all these little bits and pieces. Because I don't want them around. Then bring over a piece of plain printing paper. And we're just going to burnish this flat so that it is completely smooth. Okay. And there we go. We've got a really nice, interesting texture there. Now this is a little thick for me, so I'm just going to run this through my pasta machine on my thicker setting, like so. And that was run from this end to this end. Now I'm just going to flip it, run it down one more setting, like so. Now I'm just going to run it down one more to the exact same setting that our previous veneer was rolled out on. Now I want you to take both of the veneers, put them onto the same piece of printing paper because we're going to bake them on it. Grab another piece and burnish it on so that it's stuck firmly on there. Okay. Lift this up. Now it might not stick to the clay when we are, it might not stick to the paper when we are cutting out our piece, but the goal is to try to get it to. So now I'm going to take this bottom piece, and this is my large Acorn set. I have a few different sizes. This is the 50 size. Okay, and I'm going to clean up those edges in a minute. And let's choose a nice spot here. Quite like that. Okay. Lift it up, And I can see it stuck a little bit, but we did press it down onto the paper enough that it wouldn't stick inside the cutter. Okay, now I might be able to just gently lift that up, yes. And let's see if we can gently lift this one up as well. And then I'll be able to just gently smooth over these edges. Like so. Then I'll just flip. And there, it's going to look very nice. Now I don't want to worry about smoothing those edges too much. We can always just fix those up later on once they're baked. I'm just going to gently burnish them again. I'm not burnishing very hard, I just want to burnish them down onto the paper. Okay. And if you're really concerned about the edges, you can take a craft knife and fix it up. I might do that, but I'm not going to do that right now. So you're going to bake that at about an hour at Sonet's recommended temperature. And before I put that into the oven, I do want to bring over a bit of souffle clay, black. And I want to run that into a sheet that is about 1 millimeter thick. Okay, grab a piece of printing paper again. Lay that down. And the reason I'm using Sonet is because it's already got kind of this texture to it, which is something that I quite like. Keep in mind you can use another brand of clay if you want. You could use black Sonet if you can find it, but then you must texture it. It has to have some sort of a texture. Okay. Yeah. Then grab your hole cutter, press down and lift up. And I didn't cut that properly. Try again. It's a little hard when it's on the paper because you don't have a perfectly hard surface to cut it off of, but there we go. Then just gently go around those edges and smooth. Like so. Okay. And I've got these pieces over here. Just want to make sure that they fit on here properly. And don't stick them down, they're not supposed to stick on there. I just want to make sure that they fit, because I can see here that the stem is a little big because we burnished it. So I'm just going to press that back into shape. Okay, and then I'm going to lift that off because it is Sonet, it won't stick. And we're going to bake all three of these components separately for about an hour at Sonet's recommended temperature. Souffle is the same temperature as Sonet. Okay, so now with everything out of the oven, as you can see here, we're going to be working with these pieces. This you can put to the side, I guess. Actually no. First thing we're going to do before we do sanding is we want to just take care of these sides. So I can see it, there's some areas where there's just a little bit of clay sitting over the edge, and you could have taken care of that while it was raw if you wanted, but you do risk distorting the shape. So I sometimes leave this just gentle trimming to the end. You could also sand this if you're not comfortable trimming it. It just takes a little longer. And I'm just looking for areas where it breaks the silhouette of the shape. So generally around the antennae here, or stem I guess is the correct word, that's where it causes problems. The rest looks pretty much okay. So that one I'll put to the side, that one's all fine. Let's have a look at this one. This one looks mostly fine, apart from the top here. It looks like it needs just a little bit of a trim. There we go. And one little bit along the side here. Okay, and there we go. So again, if you aren't comfortable doing this because maybe you don't have steady hands or you're just worried about nicking your piece, you can always sand it. Though I would recommend doing it while it is raw then. Alright, there we go. But that's basically all you need to do. Now black you'll leave to the side, we don't need that at the moment. And you're just going to start with like a 600 grit sandpaper. And you're just going to sand this. And now I don't want you to sand it a lot. I'm just going to sand this one side so that I can demonstrate what I'm talking about. When I put resin on this, it's going to reflect it, hopefully. Let me see if I can reflect this. I'm not sure if you can pick it up there, but this side where we did not sand, it has a lot more of a pure gold reflection than this side over here. And so when we reflect it with the resin, you're going to find that you're not going to be able to see the pattern as well. So I like to sand with like a 600 up to probably about 1000 grit sandpaper, just to remove the surface mica particles, so that when we do put the resin on, the image is going to be pretty clear. I'm not trying to sand it to make it smooth, the resin will take care of that. I'm not trying to sand it to remove a lot of clay, I'm just sanding to clear up that image. And also just give the sides a gentle sand just to remove any sharp edges that might be on them. And actually I'm not even going to go down a grit, that will be fine for now. So repeat that with this piece and then we can get on to resining. Okay, so grab a resin mat, take these pieces and we're going to resin them separately. Again, leave the black to the side. And I'm just going to bring over some of Lisa Pavelka's Magic Gloss. Just going to pop a small amount of resin on there. And there you can see how that brings the colours back out again. And I'm just going to spread this around. Now we're definitely going to need to add more resin than I've added, but I want to spread it around first because I don't want to risk spills by adding too much resin and it's spreading in one direction before I can control it. Just spread that around, and everything I'm doing with this piece you'll repeat with this one over here. And then you're going to cure that in the UV light for roughly about 15 minutes. So it's nice and hard and easy to work with. Now I want a nice dome on these pieces. The whole point of this not having stuck onto the backing is so that we can create an interesting resin dome. And I'll show you how to do that later on, obviously. For now we're going to worry about getting our dome correct. So you want to make sure that there's no pulling away from the edges. If there is, you need to add more resin. And just continue and then put it into the UV light. Okay, so here are the pieces out of the UV light. So you can see how beautiful they look now. So you can see. So it's going to look very nice once put together. So just pop that to the side and I'm going to bring over this. And now what I want to do is I want to put on some gloves because we're going to be working with some Polybonder, which is a nice glue to work with polymer clay. Because we're going to be gluing the resin pieces onto our black. Now you might be wondering, why don't you just cut out these pieces, put them onto the black while they're still raw, and then just resin the entire thing. You could definitely do that if you want to. It's not as much of a schlep, there's not as much technique to it, but the thing is I really like how these two pieces will definitely look separate. Once they're done, they have their own separate dome rather than have one whole dome over the top, so it keeps them looking separate. That is why I wanted to do it this way. So I'm going to start with the bottom piece, and I'm actually going to be applying the glue to the black here. Okay, Okay, and you have a little bit of time to work with this. It's not a huge amount of time, but you do have enough time to do a decent job here. So just apply that on. Make sure you get a good coat. And coat those edges as well. Then we're going to grab this, and I always tend to do the bottom first just because I find it's the easiest to glue on, and then it gives us a place to start with the top piece. I just find that it's easier to do the bottom and then do the top. Okay, so now I want to be careful not to get glue on this top piece, so work a little bit more carefully because you don't want to get any glue on that resin. It's very important because it will ruin it. And this is why I want to use gloves, because I probably will be getting a little bit of the glue on my fingers. And I don't really want it on my actual fingers. The gloves you can just take off. Okay, then just pop that on and line it up. Okay. And then just press on them like so. And then I will leave that for about 20 minutes just to make sure that that glue is properly set before I do any drilling or anything fancy like that. But what I can do is I can pick it up very gently and just show you how that looks. It looks much better than if we'd just given it an overall resin coat. However, if you don't want to go through this schlep, you can definitely just coat the entire piece. Just join these two veneers together and put them onto the black backing after cutting them out while they're still raw, and then you can just coat them with the resin. However, the separate domes really give an interesting effect and works well with that acorn sort of theme. Okay, so just leave that, let it set, don't fuss with it too much, and then when it's done we can apply our necklace. Okay, so now that it is dry, we are going to just drill a hole at the top. And I want you to get a nice thin drill bit for this. And start from the resin side. You always start from the resin side. And I'm not using a push drill this time, I'm just using a manual drill just because I want to be careful to get this correct. Just drill that through. And I'll just continue drilling until I reach the back. Okay, and then once you drilled through, you'll have an open jump ring and you'll just push that through the hole. It might take a little bit to work it through, but you should be able to get that in, like so. Then I have a rubber cord and a little silver bail here. Take this, I attach the silver bail. Attempt to grab onto that end there. Twist that on, and then I'll just make sure it's closed properly. Okay. And then you'll just take any necklace you want. I've got this cute little rubber cord necklace that is very nice for pendants like this. And there we go. All finished. So just clean up here, and then I can show you what that looks like. Let me just zoom in a bit for you. Okay, and there we go. That is basically it. So keep in mind, this sort of technique can be done with a bunch of different shapes. So you can combine different shapes that slot together. You might want to make yourself a couple of templates, like if for instance you want to do the acorn. I do sell the cutters, but you can do other things like let's see, just trying to think of one. Like for instance, if you wanted to have a circle and you wanted a triangle to slot into it, you could create a circle, and then you could just cut out the area where you want the triangle to slot in, and then you have a triangle as a separate piece. You would resin those separately, and then you would just slot them together. It would be a little harder because you would need to make the shapes yourself, so definitely if you start in this technique, it's a good idea to get these cutters because they do a lot of the work for you. But keep in mind, you can do this with just about any shape so long as they fit together, because the whole resin having a separate domed effect really adds some dimension to the piece. So anyway, I do hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.